you're going to get?
These are 10 horsepowers. It's plumbed and the panel's ready to accept a third pump. If need be, flow increases or you want a third one. It's basically just like a regular standard lift station. You know, sewage comes in, gets to a level, it'll come on, bring it down. It can be set up to maintain a flow-ish. It's not on VFDs or drives, so it's just going to kick on and kick off where basically you want it. So that's basically it. You know, the pumps, they slide down the rails. You can pick them up, same thing. The control panel is a little bit different than you guys' lift station standards that you typically have. So if you want to walk around over here, we'll kind of go over that.
Floats in there, or
there is floats and also a rod, a level rod. Basically, it has segments every foot on it,
right?
And so as the water hits that segment, it'll convert over here to the level. And the floats are for backup. Here's your control panel. There's no water in the wet well now, so we're actually in a low level. But as that rod fills up, every foot there's a segment on the rod, and once it covers with water, it'll indicate a foot level, so it'll tell you in feet how much water you have in here. And then obviously you can adjust your levels. It's pretty simple. Basically go down to menu scroll, go up, and then see first pump off at 1 foot, first pump on at 6 foot. And then to change the value, you can you have to hold it for 3 seconds, and then it'll start changing. So now you want your pump to come on at 10 foot, 6 foot. There is a book. You know, you just go right through everything. That is actually in his office right now. Do you know the depth? I think it's 15. It's
somewhere in there.
It's not very deep.
Oh, okay.
So not like a typical lift station, you know, a little shallower than a typical lift station. Another thing here, you have your floats. You can go through and calls for the pumps, and then your high float. So I basically just simulated if we're actually tipping the floats. It makes it nice so you can troubleshoot real easy there if it's a bad float or not, or if it's inside the panel. Hand auto, you know, just like any other lift station. Cross the line starters, pretty simple, basic. Obviously your breakers, and this is our pre-programmed. You're probably going to want to change your levels depending on your run times if you want, but it's basically 6 foot, 1 foot. So just right below the invert where it comes in to just above the pump handle. So the pump stays submerged. So that's basically it for the control panel. Like I said, they do have the book for it. I will go over, I'll probably sit down with you one time once you guys take it over, and I'll actually show you in the book. Okay. The book is real simple, easy to use, and it's all just scroll through here. Say there is a problem, say you have like a phase failure or something like that. It'll show up here, a fault light will come on, and then you can scroll to it and it'll show you the number of fault. You look in the book, it'll say right on there, fault 09 per se, and it'll say phase fail. So it's pretty, really user friendly. These are. And these are pretty durable too.
Laminate them numbers and put them inside this panel.
We could do that.
Page. So we see you have them out here.
Yep. It should be in the book that's supposed to be in the panel, but they took all the paper copies
well,
for
they
now.
may end up back here in the panel.
Yeah, they will. If not, I'll get you another one.
Okay.
That's not a big deal. And that's what they do. They just keep them in the panel.
Yeah.
The reason number 3 is on over temp, because there's no pump. So.
These are LED,
yes.
Not incandescent?
No.
Okay, so it won't overheat and melt the plastic.
Oh, no. And you can't change the bulb either. You got to change the whole switch itself. These have the Flygt seal leaks in them. So it comes up through your thermal wires that are usually your over temp, but it's wired in series through it. So it'll go through the over temp on the one side, the sensor inside the pump, to basically like a float switch that's in there that measures resistance, then out the float switch to the other side of the thermal switch, and then back up to the panel. So say the float switch, so say water gets inside the pump, you know, before it hits the stator, you know, and fries the stator, you'll get a seal leak. Well, this light will stay on solid as a seal fail. Hey, there's water inside the pump, or it's reading high resistance for some reason. It'll still run, but it's going to warn you and let you know that, hey, you need to do something, or at least check the pump out. Now say it overheats or something happens that switch, it'll actually break the circuit, open the circuit like a regular over temp, and that's when the over temp light will stay solid. Like I said, the reason this one's still solid is because there's no pump hook to it, so that will always stay solid. I'd probably recommend just pulling it out, leaving it in here as a spare, so
Right.
that way you can put it in another place when those fail.
So that's the one there that's not being used?
Correct.
Three.
Because there is
Pull
no
that out and set it down.
third pump.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I was. You know, this is all intricately safe. So basically, all your signals and stuff all come in through down here. Keep it separate from everything else. Not quite sure. Spend extra money, but and also with your floats, as the floats tip, these will light up in accordance with them. So that's another troubleshooting thing. Hey, the float's tip and this light isn't lit. Is it the float or? But if this light is tipped but it's not shown on here, then you know it's a problem between here and there. So it just makes it easier to troubleshoot. But any questions on the panel? Pumps here at the lift station? Curtis has my number, but I'm sure you guys are more than welcome to call if you have any questions. I'm usually pretty good at troubleshooting over the phone.
Saved me a few times.
Control panels. And if you close the door. Nope, it's on this side. If you call, just have the job number or drawing number. They're the same number, there's just a D in front of it. And I can look that up on the computer, and I can have the schematics already in my computer, so that way I can just walk you through troubleshooting. That usually works pretty good. If you know there's an electrical problem, hey, for some reason the panel ain't working right, well, did you check this, check that? And I can actually walk you through the drawings and tell you, hey, check wire, 23 to 24, pretty quick and easy. And if not, I live in Umatilla anyway, so it's nothing for me to come over here and take a look. But if no other questions,
I don't.
It's just a knurled
You guys don't have
knob.
any questions for it?
There's nothing more to it.
yeah, it's just
I mean, this part, well, if we go to get in there,
yep, just a quarter turn. Yep. That's it, just a quarter turn on it.
wasn't sure if there was a big plastic knob that was going to be put on there.
No, plastic ones seem to break.
They didn't.
That's why they went with the metal, and it just, just twist, quarter turn twist.
It just threw me off that it was so small.
Yeah. That's it.
Those prints gonna stay on the door there too?
Yes. Yep. These are actually,
It's glued on.
They're gonna last?
Yeah.
yeah, these ones actually do. Yep, they're not the laminated plastic. It's an actual,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
what are those big, like the NFL things you can stick on the wall, the fat heads or whatever they call them?
Like a
That's,
decal?
that's what that paper is. It's actually water resistant. So, if it's raining, the numbers won't smear or nothing like that.
Yeah, especially with the heat out here.
Yep.
So somebody left some prints in the panel,
Oh yeah, and they just
Man, they
kind of
just-
wilted.
wilted. Good word. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before. They've been using this for probably 3 or 4 years, and I haven't seen a problem with any of them yet. So, other than that,
All right.
the other thing too, MPE, they're located right in Apopka. So that way if there is a problem, and I got a pretty good relationship with them, I usually just take it right to them. They'll troubleshoot it real quick. They either give me a new one right then and there, or they'll fix the component out. They've been real great with me. It's not like DFS that if you call them, you need a credit card.
Yeah.
So, paving pumps. I don't know why it's still running. Turn them both off, but I'm not exactly sure how it goes, but it flows through here, comes out there. For the pumps themselves, being out here in the sun, if you run them too slow, these are on VFDs, they could overheat. They're not submerged, and then they're designed for it, but if you just barely have the check valve open, that's kind of important. The thing is to watch. Really the easiest thing to do, just come out here, don't slam your hand on it if it's too hot, but just kind of give a temperature. They usually run, if majority of the plants that we do, they run usually like 50% of what they're designed to run. So say you're running around 35 hertz. They usually run around 130 degrees, especially if they're baking in the sun type of thing. So that's really the biggest thing to watch out for these. We already told electricians to shorten the cables.
Scott, can we turn them pecker heads over?
Turn them so they're facing down?
Yeah, because
actually yes.
Because the cord
right here,
track and brake right there in the sun. And if they're pointing down, they don't.
Yeah, that's true.
You shorten the cord.
Yep, absolutely. The only thing, I guess I could probably do that for you. There's just an O-ring in there. It's a machine fit, and there's a little O-ring. You just flip them over, and
because we've been turning all ours down like that.
Oh yeah,
so,
that makes more sense.
The cord just tends to last longer.
Yep. I did suggest to them is getting seal tight. That stuff to go over it, or something to go over the cable.
Sun, yeah.
Just keep the sun from it. But like you said, if you flip it over, that would help dramatically. So, if you ever have to dereg them, it's just these 4 bolts, these 10 millimeters. That way you can lift the motor up and you can get right in the volute. Obviously make sure your valves are closed so don't take a bath. And these are just on thermal switches. There's no seal leaks in these. So it's just basically open and close for your seal leak. Or over temp, I'm sorry, for your over temp. And that's basically it. Just like I said, the biggest thing is if you're gonna run them real slow, just keep an eye on the temperature. And obviously,
is that your bleeder right there?
On the pump itself?
Right.
Where? No, that's the oil chamber.
The pump's all the way down here.
Yes. Yep.
Right to there, yeah.
This is your oil chamber where where the seal's at, so that's full of oil.
Right here, where you bleed.
Oh, is there a cap over there?
There's a cap over here.
That's for the impeller itself. That's where you can see.
You can see the impeller.
See the impeller if you want to check rotation. That's the easy way to check rotation here. But you still can't get the air out that way. These are on ARVs. Usually what I do is I open this valve first, and then you can bleed it out right through here. Open that up, and then it should get all the air out because the water in the tank's a lot higher. It'll be forcing out. So I usually get the air out there before you open that valve or the check valve.
Right, okay.
And then after water comes out of here, after all the air is out, if there is any more, it'll go out the ARV right there. So, for these being, because the tank's going to be full pretty much all the time, that you really shouldn't have a problem priming these at all. So these two are the same, and these are the same as they're not the same impeller, but they're the same size, so don't get those confused. These and the WAZ or WAZ. The WAZ is the bigger ones. WAZ.
They do the same thing, right?
Yeah, it basically circulates.
Yeah. Or waste.
Yep. So it's usually more of a sludge type stuff.
But I don't understand. If this pumping too slow and it start to heat up, what you need to be watching the flow when it's how you gonna know? You ain't gonna come out here.
That's well,
4 times a day.
oh no. Once you get it set, you're gonna know where the check valve's gonna. Are these on VFDs or are these?
Yes, they
I
are.
assume
Okay,
so.
these ones are.
Shaving.
I know the Raz and Waz are, but if you run it too slow, so like the check valve's barely opening, you'll see that on your flow meter that you're not getting any flow through them,
Oh, okay.
and then it's just
That's
gonna.
when they tend to start to heat up.
And that's when they get really hot.
Okay.
A lot of, especially like the coastal ones, for some reason they overbuild their plants. You know, they expect a lot of inflow during like a hurricane or whatever, so they only run them, 25 to 50%.
Oh,
And then these just run very slow, to just keep up with their normal flow, and then they have overheating problems. I don't believe these were designed for that. I know until it gets finished built out, you might have to run them a little bit slower so that way you're not killing your plant basically. And once you get, the sweet spot where you figure it out, just keep an eye, make sure it isn't hot. If you have to go slower, same thing, wait a couple hours or so, check it, see if it gets too hot. I'm not quite sure how you guys adjust it. Is it based upon your inflow or basically you just set it and forget it?
Basically, yeah, you gotta see how much coming in your plant.
Yep.
And then figure out the math, how you want it, how it's feeling during the day.
Yep.
Because you want it to pump mostly at night,
Yes.
when it's low flow.
Oh, okay.
So you're gonna try to see what it's doing today,
Yep.
fill the tank, and then you got to do some kind of math to figure it out overnight where we want to pump it down to.
Oh, okay. But as far as raising these
consistent flow.
speeds up and down, it's just kind of trial and error basically for probably about a month.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I told them too, once they get it fed and do their 7-day test, I'm going to come out here, verify that they're not running too slow or, everything looks okay.
Well, that's great because we got a little small peak shaving tank, and as soon as the water come in, fill up the tank and it's pumping straight to the
it.
plant. Yeah.
You'd rather control the speed and instead of having it slamming on, you can.
Well, you need a big enough equalization tank.
Okay.
We got a real small one.
Well, you shouldn't have that problem no more.
A real small one. So it fill up, 3-4 times a day.
Yep.
And it goes by the floats, the level.
Okay.
And it want to pump the level back down, and you ain't got but 4 feet to work with.
Yep.
So it's steady pushing to the
Pushing
plant,
through it.
and then it'll slow down, and woof.
I believe there's a setup for primary and alternate, or basically you only need to run at a time. So it should be on an alternation switch. So you run 12 hours on one pump and then 12 hours on the other. That way, if one goes bad, you'll still be able to run the plant. Some people try to run them both. I don't recommend that because you're going to run it so slow.
Right.
So like I said, when
We do. We run
one at a time.
6 hours, 8
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, every 6 hours.
Yeah, you shouldn't have no problem at all. As long as the check valve's open, you don't have a problem at all. Then, but
Are these doing the same thing as the ones Curtis that we worked on at Oak
Yes.
Run? We had to change that rag
Yeah,
up.
these are the
rag
same.
up.
Well, ours are bigger, but
Yeah, they were bigger.
yes.
Okay.
Speaking of that, I'm going to talk to you about something when we get
There's
done.
less
Okay.
chance to rag up here because of those bar screens.
Oh,
Where Oak Run they bypass sometimes because the bar screen fails.
Okay, yeah.
We're pretty sure that these are going to be
It's gonna work.
better, much better than what Oak Run has.
Well, they never should have put in a manual screen. They should have had 2 screens there.
It's usually for an emergency if there's a hurricane or something where you got so much flow that
Yeah, or you're down for repairs.
yeah,
or down for repairs.
or cleaning it.
Or yeah.
Yeah, that would have led
why-
to the next question. How long are you going to leave those leads for the
I told him to put 2 loops in it,
2 loops?
so enough where you can grab it, move it over.
Slide.
But that's
that much.
that's way too much.
That's
That
going to sit there and rot.
and that actually creates. I haven't seen it, but if you run these slow, it actually makes it hotter. So the shorter the cable, where it's not coiled up, because it kind of creates like a magnetic field, and then it actually makes it hotter.
That's two reactants or if I go
Yeah.
back in time, I don't remember what it was. Eddy currents.
Now, if it's across the line, you never really have a problem with it. It's for some reason when the frequency changes, it actually kind of creates like a magnetic field and makes these hotter. If you're already kind of borderline as it is, you gotta be careful of that. But that's it. That's it for the peak shavings for now. Actual mixers, not, you didn't include the tube.
Not the nitro recycle.
6 of them are the same. This one's the bigger one. So for the mixers, really the biggest thing is since you have a bar screen, you shouldn't have a problem with getting a lot of trash and rags in here. But the biggest thing is, make sure the cord's tight and the lifting cables, which I've annotated, they need to tighten these up.
Oh yeah, no, we've had plenty of problems with that.
Figure out a better way so you don't get sucked in there. I don't know what they're gonna do. It was originally designed for have the davit cranes for each of them, which I like better because that way you just leave a little tension on it,
Yeah.
and then you can actually see if it starts ragging up, you'll see the cable shake on it, and that way you know you gotta pull hay.
No, now we gotta move that Huon thing over here.
Yep.
There's going to be 4 cranes.
4 total, okay. A lot of,
And this is the
what tank is this?
This is the sludge handling tank for now. It's got the coarse bubble diffusers and then the larger mixer.
But the 6 of them are
EQ.
interchangeable.
Well, I mean, you've got the peak shaving basin over there. That,
Okay. Robert, it's coming in. How it's coming in here?
So it's going to come through. You got a pipe coming from the B&R splitter box.
Okay.
So from the headworks, it's all going to go into the B&R splitter box, and there's going to be obviously those 3 gates on the north side, and there's a pipe that runs to each one of these trains. And from each train, it's going to fill up the basin and come through these overflow weirs in the concrete. So it's going to flow through. And there's the same thing underneath this bridge here, this walkway, there's another flow through that goes into this side and then on the effluent.
Oh, okay.
So it'll go out there, drop down in, and then it'll flow over to the clarifiers. Well, to the splitter box. And then to the clarifiers.
So you got diffused air and mixers? Okay. Because we got anoxic zones
It
with
should,
no air.
it should keep down on the bubbles from it bubbling up. The mixers do,
Oh, yeah?
in theory.
Okay. I ain't never seen that before. Okay.
But any other questions on the mixers, or basically
Is that box there for another pump?
Yeah, we're going to talk about those.
Oh,
If everybody's good on the mixers. Is there anything else to hit on?
basically simple.
Is it just one mixer for each chamber, or?
No, you have your 3.
Yeah, so the 3 front all have a mixer. This one has a mixer, and then these back 3 have a mixer. Those 2 the 2 basins there do not have a mixer because you have your fine bubble diffusers in there.
Cycle pumps. They're basically the same thing as a mixer, but they slide down. That's there, and then it basically just recirculates it back through.
Oh.
so it just pushes it back over there.
Yes.
Okay, just, okay.
So it basically takes everything off the bottom and then pushes it back through instead of having the mix. That's how it mixes it, because it's the fine bubble diffusers, I guess.
Fine, yeah.
I don't know how that works. But
It just goes through a membrane. Air pushes through it
okay.
instead of those, the coarse ones where it's just
Big bubbles that come
big
through
up
it.
there. These are real small bubbles.
Okay. But that's basically it for my end up here. I don't know if you can see it in there or not.
We have, over there at Oak Run, we have a RAS pump
Okay.
that keeps ragging up.
Is your clearance?
We checked that, everything's fine.
You can barely stick a business card in there.
Yeah.
It just keeps on ragging up. They pull it up, they set it on moving cart. But they're not. They're a different impeller. So you can't really, you probably could if you're in a pinch to interchange them. But basically same setup, Coming here,
These are WAS.
Waist activated slow, yep.
these are the WAS, so same thing. If you have to run them real slow, just be mindful of the temperature. You know, watch your gallons per minute. So the same thing as the peak shavings. Yep. Like I said, if the check valves, like say you're pumping, you know, like 50 to 100 gallons, the check valve's just barely opening, especially on a hot day, just make sure these aren't getting too hot. It's not designed for it. I forgot what the conditions were exactly, but it should be fine. But for some reason you do have to run them real slow. Just keep an eye on the temperature. There is a thermal switch in there, so if it does get too hot, it will open and shut the pump off. But
because we usually slow ours down when we waste.
The waste ones, yep, that's why I made a big deal about the peak shaves. Like I said, based upon the design conditions and where this falls on the curve, you shouldn't have a problem with it. But there's just something to be a little aware of. I don't know, here in Florida, it seems we have issues with them, and if they run them too slow. But like I said, that's about it for the WAS. Now the RAS, those have cooling jackets on them.
Oh, that's too different. I do the same thing.
Yep.
One pump.
Yep. So these have a
Out of the Stone Age.
yeah. So these actually have a cooling jacket on them.
Full of love, yeah.
So you can run these slow. Obviously, if you're not pumping nothing, it'll still get hot. But if you're still pumping, you don't really have to ever worry about them ringing up. Even though these are on the north side, it's going to be out of the sun the whole time.
Only in wintertime.
So, but nope. Same concept. These are actually 12 horsepower pumps. Those are 10s. So.
I like how they didn't bury that shit in concrete.
Yes, you can actually get to the 90.
Pull it out if you had to.
Yep. They are going to grout this here, but and obviously put a junction box. Yeah, definitely don't accept it when it's like that.
No.
But other than that, that's basically it.
I'm good.
Any questions on the pumps or mixers themselves?
Oh, this Cadillac.
Gunther, any questions?
Just that I guess this one doesn't have that option of
Flipping it? No. A lot of people, you take like a piece of aluminum or stainless cup that goes on here, and then have a reducer down to the seal tight, so say like 1.5 inch seal tight, and just slide it over it. I know they are going to cut the cable shorter for you, so that should help. But with the ones at Oak Run, what are it?
We can get that fire hose from the hydraulic shop.
Oh yeah, even the fire hose works too.
Big enough to go over this.
It'll fit over that. Yep.
And then it's just a, 5 foot, 6 foot.
Yep.
Just to protect it. It's well worth it as much as that shit is a foot.
Yeah. Yeah, they're proud of it.
Oh, they are proud of it. Okay, cool. That's good.
Obviously the controls and automation, that's someone else. They'll be doing that once they're done, and I will be back out. Sure, we're going to do another training class during operations. If you have any questions or anything, maybe jot them down on the pump sides, and then I'm going to come. They're going to do a 7-day run cycle with it, actually run sewage and everything like that. If you have any questions or anything about the pumps, hey, is this fast, too slow, type of thing, just jot them down, pump questions, and during that 7-day period, I'm going to come eventually and, make sure you ain't running them too slow or nothing like that. But
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's going to be a new plant and such.
it's going to take.
It's never going to have less flow. It's always going to be increasing here. So we'll be making adjustments as needed.
Yep, and that's
all along.
That's what I'm a little worried about at the beginning here. There's not enough flow yet.
Well, they're currently building another 280 room motel.
Yep.
In an indoor stadium bigger than the Amway Center in Orlando.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
That's what I was told. So
damn.
Indoor like that one?
Yeah. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know what it's for exactly. It may not be for. Maybe multi-use, like
concerts and
a
stuff too.
basketball team or something. Who knows? Indoor soccer league.
I know they're trying to make the international airport. Now I heard of that.
Yeah.
So
Gotta get those horses in here from Dubai. Yep.
yeah.
Oh, they do now.